My father was not a loud man. He didn't laugh with his mouth wide open, or tell long stories at the dinner table. He wasn't the kind of man who took up space in a room. In fact, sometimes it felt like he wasn't even there. But somehow, every time I looked around, he was. He would sit at the edge of the couch, quietly reading the newspaper. Or he would be in the kitchen, fixing the broken drawer without saying a word. He didn't ask for attention. He didn't expect thanks. He just showed up day after day. When I was a child, I thought that was normal. I thought all fathers were like that. I didn't realize how rare it was for someone to be so steady, so present, so dependable. He was the one who packed my school lunch every morning. He never forgot. Even on the days when I overslept or forgot to thank him, he'd leave it on the counter with a little sticky note. The notes didn't say much. Just things like, "Don't forget your jacket," or "Good luck on the test." At the time, I rolled my eyes at them. I thought they were boring. Now I'd give anything to see one again. At night, I used to hear his footsteps outside my door. Just once every night around the same time. He'd pause for a second. I never knew what he was doing. Maybe he was checking if I was asleep. Maybe he just wanted to make sure I was safe. But he never opened the door and I never asked. He never raised his voice, not even when I deserved it. Like the time I broke his watch. It was an old one, scratched and faded. I had been playing with it, pretending I was a spy. I dropped it on the floor and the glass cracked. I expected him to yell. Instead, he just looked at it for a long time. Then he said, "It's just a thing. You're not." That sentence stayed with me for years. I didn't understand it back then. But now I hear it like a whisper in my memory. My mother used to say he was too soft. She said he let people walk all over him. Maybe that was true. He never fought back when others were rude. He just smiled or walked away. But now I wonder if that was strength too. Not needing to prove anything. Not needing to be loud to be heard. When I got older, I started spending less time at home. I had school friends, parties. I thought he didn't mind. He never complained. Never asked where I was going or why I didn't come home for dinner. He just sat on the couch like always. Quiet. Waiting. Sometimes I wonder what he was thinking in those moments. Did he feel me drifting away? Did it hurt? Or was he just proud that I was growing up? I never asked. And he never said. He was always the one to drive me places. School, practice, interviews. He didn't talk much in the car. Just turned on the radio and let me be. Back then I thought that was boring. Now I realize how peaceful it was. No pressure. Just quiet support. There's one memory that keeps coming back to me. I was around 9 or 10. It was raining hard and I was crying because my science project had fallen in a puddle. I came home wet and angry. I thought he would tell me to stop crying. Instead, he walked into the rain, picked up the soggy pieces, and helped me dry them one by one with the hairdryer. He didn't say a word. Just sat next to me until I calmed down. Looking back, that moment says everything about him. He was the man who stood behind the curtain during every school play. The man who clapped quietly at the back, not pushing forward for praise. The man who made sure the car was warm in winter before I got in. Who never let the gas tank go below half. Who bought extra batteries just in case. He didn't love with grand gestures. He loved in small, invisible ways. And I didn't see them. Or maybe I saw them, but I didn't understand. I thought love had to be loud. I thought love had to be exciting. I was wrong. Sometimes the strongest love is the quiet kind. The kind that waits outside your door. That fixes your chair without telling you. That lets you go even when it wants you to stay. And now looking back, I realize he was always there. But I only noticed when he was gone. As I entered my teenage years, things began to change. Not suddenly, but slowly, like water wearing down a stone. I started to feel like I knew more than him. I rolled my eyes when he offered help. I sighed when he asked simple questions. I answered with short words. Fine. Nothing. Whatever. He didn't fight back. He just nodded, smiled a little, and gave me space. At the time, I thought I needed that space. I thought it made me independent. I thought he didn't understand me, that he was out of touch with the world I was living in. He didn't know about trends or memes or the way school felt so heavy sometimes. He didn't understand the pressure I was under. Or at least that's what I told myself. But the truth is, I never gave him a chance. I remember one evening during dinner. He asked how my day was and I just said, fine. He asked if I had eaten lunch and I snapped, why do you care? The look on his face that day, it wasn't angry. It wasn't even sad. It was just quiet, like he expected it, like he was used to not being let in. And I didn't even notice. I just went back to scrolling on my phone. Looking back, I wonder how many small moments like that passed between us. Moments where I could have said something kind, something honest, but I chose silence or sarcasm instead. He still showed up, still drove me to school, still left my favorite snacks in the pantry, still waited up when I stayed out late, still stood outside in the cold, holding an umbrella, just in case I forgot mine. But I didn't see those things. Not really. I was too focused on myself, too lost in my own little world. I thought love had to be loud, like the way friends cheered for each other online. I thought support meant texts or posts or dramatic speeches. What he gave me was something else. Something quiet. Something patient. When I got accepted into university, my mother hugged me tight and cried. My friends threw a small party. But my father, he just smiled and said, I'm proud of you. Then he handed me a small box. Inside was a keychain with the name of the university on one side, and on the other the words,
Keep going. I'm right behind you.
I smiled politely, said thank you, and placed it in my backpack. I didn't realize then how much that small gift meant, or how long he had been carrying it in his pocket, waiting for that day. Moving away for college was exciting. New city, new friends, new freedom. I was finally on my own. No more quiet dinners. No more questions about my day. No more notes on the counter. First, I didn't miss it. I was busy. Life moved fast. Assignments, parties, new experiences. I called home once a week, usually to talk to my mom. She always passed the phone to him, and he always said the same thing.
How are you doing? Eating enough? Need anything?
I always said I was fine. Always rushed the call. I had things to do, people to see. Sometimes he'd send me emails. Simple ones. A photo of the garden. A link to an article about my favorite author. Funny joke he saw somewhere. I often ignored them, telling myself I'd read them later. But later never came. Once I came home during winter break. I walked into the living room and saw my father struggling to fix the old heater. His hands were rough, fingers slower than I remembered. I offered to help, and he smiled like I had just given him a gift. That moment stayed with me, but again I didn't think too deeply about it. I was home for only a week and then gone again. That year he stopped asking questions. He still listened when I talked, still smiled, still helped. But he asked less. I thought he was finally learning to give me space. I didn't realize it was something else. He was stepping back. He was letting go. He was preparing for something I wasn't ready for. And I didn't see it, because in my mind he was just there. Like always. Like a chair in the corner of the room. Like the quiet hum of the fridge. A presence I had gotten so used to I forgot it was even special. But people are not chairs. And one day that quiet presence disappears. And when it does, you feel the silence louder than anything you've ever heard. After the funeral, the house felt empty. Not just because he was gone, but because his presence had filled more space than I ever realized. Every corner reminded me of him. The smell of coffee in the morning. The faint sound of his footsteps on the wooden floor. The old chair by the window where he used to sit and read the newspaper. I used to think he was just there. But now I knew he was the quiet center of the home. I started finding things he had left behind. In the drawer of his nightstand, there was a small notebook. I didn't think much of it at first. But when I opened it, I froze. It wasn't just a notebook. It was a journal. His handwriting was neat but shaky. The first entry started with my name. Today he passed his driving test. He was so proud, though he pretended to be cool. I wanted to hug him, but I just said, "Good job, son." I hoped that was enough. I turned the page. And another. It was all about me. My life. My moments. From the day I started school to my first heartbreak to the day I left for college. He looked nervous when he left home. I told him he'd do great. But after the bus left, I sat in his room for an hour. I just needed to feel close to him. I couldn't stop reading. My hands shook. My chest felt heavy. He had written down all the words he never said out loud. And I had never asked him how he felt. I had always assumed he didn't care much about emotions. He was too quiet, too simple, too distant. But now I saw he was full of feeling. He just didn't show it the way I expected. He had his own quiet language of love, a language I never bothered to learn. That night, I sat in his chair by the window and read the last few entries. He doesn't come home much now. That's okay. He's busy. I just hope he knows I'm proud of him. Always have been. Tears ran down my face. I wished I had told him that I was proud of him too, that I saw his sacrifices, that I knew he had given up many things for me. I wished I had said, "I love you," even once. But I never did. The days turned into weeks, but grief didn't follow time. It stayed. Changed shape, but it stayed. One afternoon, I got a call from my uncle. He said he had something to give me, something my father had asked him to hold on to. When I arrived, he handed me a small wooden box. "He said to give you this if something ever happened to him," he said softly. I took it home, sat on the floor, and opened it slowly. Inside was a cassette tape, labeled, "For my son." I didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Who uses tapes anymore? But I found an old player in the attic. It still worked. I pressed play. And then, I heard his voice. "Hi, son," he began. "If you're listening to this, then I'm probably not around anymore." My breath caught. His voice was warm but calm. He sounded just like I remembered. I know we didn't always talk much. Maybe I didn't say the right things. I never learned how to express emotions well. My father never did, and maybe I followed him too closely. But I want you to know I saw you. I saw everything. There was a pause. I saw when you fell, when you succeeded, when you were lost, when you found your way. And I was always proud of you. My heart broke all over again. I left the house to you, not because it's a big gift, but because I want you to feel safe, like I always tried to make you feel. I hope one day you'll have a family of your own, and maybe you'll sit in my chair and read your own paper and think of me. I covered my mouth as the tape continued. And one last thing. I know you always wondered if I loved you. I'm sorry I didn't say it enough. But I did. More than anything. Silence followed. Then the tape ended. I sat there frozen. My father, the man I thought was silent and distant, had left me the loudest message of love. And I had missed it while he was alive. That night I sat by the window again. His chair now felt like a bridge between the past and present, between everything I thought I knew and everything I now understood. He was always there. And now that he was gone, I could finally hear his voice. Not through words, but through memories, through quiet acts, through love that had always been there, hidden in plain sight. He passed away on a Tuesday morning. There was no warning, no last words, no goodbye. Just a quiet end like the way he lived, without asking for attention, without needing to be noticed. When the call came from the hospital, I didn't cry. Not at first. I just sat there holding the phone, feeling the weight of everything I never said, everything I never did. At the funeral, people told me how much he had done for them. Quiet acts of kindness, repairs he made, money he gave without ever expecting it back. He never talked about these things. He just did them. I realized I had never really seen him. I had looked at him all my life, but I had never looked into who he was. That night, I sat alone in his room. I opened the drawer next to his bed. Inside was a small notebook. It was full of short notes, most of them about me. She got the job today. She looked tired but smiled anyway. I'm proud of her, even if she never knows. That's when I broke. I cried in a way I never had before. Not because he was gone, but because I had missed the chance to tell him that I noticed, that I cared, that I loved him, that I saw him. But then something happened. As I read more of his notes, I felt him with me. Not in a ghostly way, but in the warmth of my memories, the quiet strength he left behind, the way the world still felt safe, because he had been part of it. I started doing the things he used to do, fixing things around the house, calling relatives to check in, leaving small notes for people I cared about. I even started writing a journal just like his. Every day, I would write one line about someone I loved, something I noticed, something I was grateful for. As now I understood. Love isn't always loud. It doesn't always shout or shine or sing. Sometimes love is just being there. And sometimes the loudest kind of love is the quiet kind, the kind that never asks to be seen, but changes your life when it's gone. If you're lucky, someone in your life is always there for you. They don't ask for attention. They don't ask for thanks. They just show up every single day. But we get used to it. We forget that consistency is love in disguise. This story reminds you, don't wait until it's too late to notice the people who care. Say something today. A word. A hug. Thank you. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be real. Because one day the silence might come, and all you'll wish for is one more ordinary moment. Let's not live with that kind of regret.